Hello, this will be my walkthrough, I guess you could call it, of a game called Everlasting Summer. It was originally in Russian, but they translated it so that it can be in English. I have played this once before, actually a few times, just to get, I've only got 3 different endings and all of them have been bad, so yeah. But yeah. Alright, so let's do this. I was having that dream once again. That dream. Same thing every night. But it's all forgotten in the morning, as usual. Maybe it's for the best. Only a glimpse of memory will remain of gates half opened, as if inviting me somewhere, with 2 frozen stone pioneers standing close by. And also that strange girl. Who keeps asking me? Will you come with me? Come? But where? And why? And where am I anyway? Of course, if it all happened in real life, I would certainly have been scared. Or what else would one expect to feel? But this is just a dream. The same one I see every night. There must be a reason. You don't have to know where or why to realize something is really happening. Something desperately seeking my attention. Since everything that surrounds me here is real as things in my own flat, I could open the gates, hear the hinges creak, brush the crumpling rust away with my hand, inhale the fresh, cool air and shiver from the cold. To do that, I would need to pick myself up, take a step, move my hand. But this is a dream, I understand that, but what of it? What does my understanding change? Because here it's just like on the other side of the cracked screen of an old TV, which struggles to fight against static noise and strives to show its audience everything without missing a single detail. But the picture is getting blurry. I must be waking up soon. Maybe I should ask her something. The girl. What's her name? About the stars, for instance. Why the stars, though? I'd rather ask about the gates. Yes, the gates. She would be so surprised. Or better, why the dot over an I was called a tittle, but the dot over a J was called a superscript dot. Nice letters. As if they don't exist anymore. Still, what do letters, gates and stars have to do with this place? Because even if I'm having this dream every night, which will be forgotten soon anyway, I've got to look for answers here and now. And there, if you look carefully, you can see the Magellanic clouds. As if I'd ended up in the southern hemisphere. In a dream, there are small things that catch your attention. An unnatural colour of grass, impossible curves of straight lines, or your own distorted reflection, while the danger, which could put an end to everything right here and now, seems trivial. It's natural, since here, you cannot die. And I know it for sure. I've done it hundreds of times. But if you cannot die, is there a point in living? I should ask the girl. She's a local. She should know. Yes, exactly. I should ask her about the owl, for example. One strange bird it is. So it doesn't matter. Will you come with me? And every time I have to answer, it's the only way, otherwise the dream will never end and I will never wake up. Yes, I'll come with you, or no, I'll stay. Yes, I'll come with you. Every time it's so hard to decide on the answer. Where am I? What am I doing here? Who is she? And why does so much of my life depend on this answer? Or maybe it doesn't. It's just a dream after all. Just a dream. on that good old social networking website. The computer screen stared at me as if it was alive. Sometimes it really did seem to me that it was conscious of itself, had its own thoughts and wishes, ambitions, that it had feelings, could love and suffer. As if our relationship, the screen wasn't an instrument, it was me who was a lifeless piece of plastic and textilite. There's some truth in that, probably because the computer provides 90% of my communication with the outside world. Anonymous image boards, some chats from time to time, rarely ICQ or Jabber, and forums even more rarely. That's not me at all. People on the other end of the internet cable simply do not exist. All of them are simply creations of its sick imagination, an error in a source coding or a kernel bug, which started living a life of its own. Bullshit. If one looked at my existence from the outside, such thoughts would seem crazy, and the psychologist would surely give me a bunch of sophisticated diagnoses and maybe write me a doctor's referral to the loony bin. Nah, mate, you're normal. Right. Go to sleep. You're drunk. A small apartment with no signs of repair or any semblance of order in it, and always the same view out the window on the grey megalophis, running somewhere day and night. Such are the conditions of my life. Well, of course, it didn't all start like this. I was born, went to school and finished it like all the others. I was accepted at a university where I spent a year and a half trailing behind and struggling. I drifted through several jobs. Sometimes I was working out quite well, sometimes I was even getting decent money for it. But it all felt like it was not mine, as if taken from another man's biography. I wasn't living life to its fullest, it was looping over and over in a monotonous circles, like in the movie Groundhog Day. It's just that I had no choice in how to spend my day, and every day repeated itself, the same vicious spiral. A spiral of emptiness, misery and despair. For the last few years I just sat in front of the screen all day. Sometimes there are menial jobs, sometimes my parents help me. All in all, I was able to provide for myself. No wonder really, since my needs are quite minor. I hardly ever leave my room, and my communication with other people almost exclusively consists of online correspondence with the anonymous, who have no real name, no gender, no age. So in brief, a quite typical life of a quite typical antisocial person of his time. Kind of Donno Darko on a minor scale without doomsday related visions. Maybe some highly respected author will write a novel about me, and it will become a contemporary. I have this word all the time in English. Contemporary classic of modern literature. Or I will write one myself. However, what's the point of fooling myself? I tried many times, but I couldn't even come up with a simple short story. That's not me. I tried to learn many other things as well. Not gifted enough to draw. Programming, got bored. Foreign languages takes too much time. The only thing I loved doing was reading, but still I never could have called myself a scholar. Perhaps I was an ace at watching anime and a grandmaster of lame internet jokes. If I were to get paid for it, I would probably be a happier person and a richer person too, but I doubt it would fill the hole inside me. Oh, that's so freaking pretty. Today was was another typical day of a typical failur's typical life. And today is the day when I have to go to my university reunion. Frankly speaking, I really didn't want to. What is the point? The time I spent with them was so short. However, I was persuaded by a friend, my former university mate, and one of the few with whom I kept in touch other than through the internet. So you aren't just anti-social. A frosty evening. Bus stop. Waiting. I never liked winter, though hot summer is not my season either. It's just that I see no reason to point out any particular time of the year. It doesn't matter much what the weather is outside when you stay at home 24/7. The bus today was running so late that I was about to curse at it all and spend my last few hundreds rebels for a taxi. The idea of just returning home didn't cross my mind for some reason. As usual, millions of thoughts flew through my mind, but there was not a single useful one to seize on. Such a thought that you could bring into existence, give a shape, turn into an idea, and put into practice. Maybe I could start my own business, but where would I get the money from? Or maybe I could go back to working in an office. No way. Maybe I should try freelancing. But what skills do I have and who would want me after all? I'm a failure. I suddenly remembered my childhood, or rather my teen years, the times when I was 15 to 17 years old, which I am right now, I'm 17. Why exactly those years? No idea. I guess it's because back then everything was much more simple. It was easier to make decisions, so complicated now and so simple then. Waking up in the morning, I knew exactly how my day was going to pass, and I always eagerly looked forward to the weekend. Then I could get some rest and have time for the things I like, computer, football, going out with my friends. And then at the beginning of next week, I would take up my studies again. Back then, there was no such worrying questions like why, who needs it, what will change if I do it, or what will not change. A simple lifestyle so casual for any normal person, so odd to myself today. That careless childhood age. It was also then that I met my first love. Her appearance and personality have vanished from my memory. Only her name remains like a brief line from a social network profile, along with the feelings which overwhelmed me when I was with her. Affection, tenderness, the desire to care for her and to protect her. Sadly, it didn't last long. Today I can hardly imagine something like that happening. I'd probably like to meet a girl, but I don't know how to start a conversation, what on earth to discuss and how to attract her. Well, I haven't met any suitable girls for a long time, but where could I meet one anyway? You're a freaking douche. Oops, sounds like the bus. 410. The sound of an engine brought me back to reality. A bus pulled over. There was something abnormal about it, I thought. Then again, it doesn't matter, only the 410 runs this route. And obviously it's a 410. Oh, hell yeah. Going on in a bit. Is that like fire coming out of that damn headlight? Streetlights pass me by. It's as if they're cold lights sparks inside of me trying to ignite feelings long dead. Or maybe not ignite, just awaken them. Because those feelings, they have been living in me for a long time, slumbering and waking up again. The driver's radio was playing some very familiar tune, but I wasn't listening to it. I was watching the cars passing by through the fogged up window. Because people are always rushing somewhere, chasing something they need, stuck in their own little worlds, why would they care about mine? They probably have their own serious problems. Maybe they have much easier lives. You can't know for sure since all people are different. Or are they? Sometimes someone's actions can easily be predicted, but if you try to look inside a soul, you'll only see impenetrable darkness. But The bus was approaching downtown and my thoughts were interrupted by the bright city lights. Hundreds of billboards, thousands of cars, millions of people. I watched this light show and somehow I got terribly sleepy. I don't. My eyes closed just for a moment and then... Alright. So this is the intro to the game. As in like a little intro. I like the music in this. This has got really nice music. This is free on Steam, so you can go ahead and get it for yourself. It's really easy and absolutely takes hardly any time at all. Day 1. Bright daylight struck my eyes. At first I didn't pay attention as I wasn't fully awake yet. On their own, my legs carried me towards the door. Damn, looks like I fell asleep and missed my stop. But there was no door. I looked around the bus and realised it wasn't a good old worn out Liars. Instead the bus was an iCrest model, a new one. I froze in shock. How? What? Am I dead? Have I been kidnapped? No, I must be dead. I patted myself down feverishly, slapped myself painfully in the face a few times, banged my forehead on the back of one of the bus seats. It's clear, either I'm still alive or you can still feel pain when you're dead. But how could this happen? Maybe I slept for too long and I ended up at the bus depot. And then what? Did they put me onto another bus? I rushed out and took a look around. Greenery wherever I looked, tall grass on the roadside, trees, flowers, summer. But how? It was winter just a moment ago. My head was aching unbearably, as if I was going to explode. Slowly I began to remember. A long road running off into the distance, forests, plains, fields, lakes and forests again. I think I was sleeping, but then how can I remember all of it? And then, a gap. Some girl leaning over me. She softly whispered something into my ear, then a gap again. And then I woke up here. Who was that strange girl? Or was she just a dream? For some reason, thinking about her made me feel better and calmed me down a bit. I felt warmth all over coming from the inside. Could it be her who brought me here? Then I need to find her. And then the best place to look for her is away from here. I rushed to the left, then to the right, then stopped, hesitating over where to go. Finally I ran in a direction from which the bus had probably came. Physical exercise does refresh one's mind. Thoughts became clearer and it gets a little easier to evaluate the surrounding reality. Not in my case, however. I was sitting on the roadside wheezing and trying to ease my sore throat by glumping breaths of hot air. In any case, the run did its job. The fear withdrew for a while. Maybe I really am just dreaming. Though recalling myself home on the bus, I immediately rejected the idea. I am neither dreaming nor dead. A narrow road ran through the field and far into the distance. The exact same road from my dream. I must be very far away from home. And it's not just that, it was winter yesterday and it's summer now. It's a whole environment. Of course, summer is usually like this, green and hot, but here everything is not entirely lifelike. Everything looks like it was taken from the paintings of Russian landscape artists of the 19th century. The grass is just too lush. The bushes are not like what bushes should be. They're so thick that you can't see anything through them, like treetops, honestly. And the trees themselves. The forest was quite far away, but the trees looked as if they had closed their ranks and were now just waiting for the order to advance onto the fields and plains. I caught my breath and looked at the bus, which was now barely visible. That was a good run. Fear overtook me once again. There's power lines. There must be people here. But what does it mean? In fact, that means nothing at all. Couldn't they have power lines even in hell? Roasting sinners over hot coals? That's so last century. I must have reached a point of no return, after which you should either lose your mind completely or finally try to understand what is going on. And while I still have a choice, I should pick the second option. I slowly headed back to the bus. Of course it was scary, but I'm not likely to find an answer in the fields or the woods, and this wretched bucket of bolts is the only kind of link that I have with the real world. I should carefully scout the area. A brick wall and its gates crowned with the Soviet sign. Statues of pioneers standing on either side, and a road sign nearby showing the bus route number 410. The trip's taken a bit too long today. I smirked. A person may start acting inappropriately in extreme situations. Something like that is probably happening to me right now. This place didn't look abandoned at all. No rust on the gates, no damage to the walls. Savoyonic. What could have a name like that? Judging by the pioneer statue, it could be a kid's summer camp. Moreover, it appears to be open. Of course, the simplest explanation, logically speaking, explains nothing at all. The strange girl, the altered bus, summer, the pioneer camp. Thousands of theories went through my mind instantly, from alien abduction to lethargic sleep, from a hallucination to a time and space shift. None was worse than any other, but there was really no way to pick a single one. Then it occurred to me, I can try and make a phone call. I took out my cell phone and dialed the first number from my contact list. But instead of signal strength bars, the screen was showing a thick cross. Alright, there may be no signal in such a remote place, though I cannot be the only one who came here. Buses don't drive themselves. I examined the bus from all sides to make sure that it wasn't a hallucination. Bits of dirt on the bottom, some rust here and there, faded paint, worn out tires. No, this is definitely a very ordinary I-Cross. Yeah, exactly the kind of bus which takes you to places beyond your understanding if you carelessly fall asleep. I gave a nervous chuckle. It came out by itself, sporadically, because this wasn't the right place or time to laugh. But where on earth is the driver? I cautiously sat down on the curb beside the bus and started to wait. My patience didn't last long. My anxiety seemed to have reached its peak, and I started to go slightly mad. In such a situation, anyone would have probably felt something similar. Aliens, parallel universes were gone from my imagination, leaving only void and darkness. Whew. Is this how everything will end? How my life will end? But I wanted to do so much. There were so many things that I had no time for yet. I was overwhelmed by the idea that it was definitely the end. But why? It's not fair. Surely I'm no worse than anyone else. God, why? I'll fall asleep again. Tears were burning my eyes unbearably. I curled up and started rolling on the grass. In the grass. Why? What did I do? Why me? But my cries were only heard by the speechless statues of pioneers and a bird on a tree, which immediately flapped its wings and took off, crying out something in its own bird language, as if laughing at the idiot who dared to interrupt its own dinner nap. I was left breathless from weeping and just lay quietly, sobbing occasionally. After a while, I managed to pull myself together. My mind cleared up a bit, as if terror and the fear of death gave me a little break. All in all, if someone wanted to kill me, what was all this for? It doesn't look like an experiment either. If this is just some crazy coincidence, then there's probably no threat. Anyway, for now it seems there's no danger. The panic was soon gone. Of course, the blood was still pounding in my temples and my hands were still shaking, but at least I could think clearly now. Right now, there is nothing I can really change anyway. So no matter how much I think or how mad I get, it would only make things worse. Until some actual facts appear, there is really no point making guesses. In any case, I won't learn anything about lounging around here. This camp, if of course it really is a camp, looked like the only place where people could be, so I decided to go there, and hardly had I reached the gates when a girl came out from behind them, wearing a pioneer uniform. My logic didn't let me down this time. Then again, a pioneer uniform in the 21st century. And then again, a girl here? I froze, unable to take a step. I felt very much like running away. Running as far away as I could from this place. Far from this bus, gates, statues, and far from this bloody bird with its sinister. Just running, free like the wind, faster and faster, waving to the planets passing by, winking at the galaxies. Running, becoming a pulsar ray, and turning into what's all these damn freaking words? Vestigial radiation, running to face the unknown. Run no matter where, as long as it is far away from this place. Meanwhile, the girl came closer and smiled. I could not help but notice her beauty, even though I was trembling with fear. Human instincts work independent of consciousness, and while only 5% of the brain is responsible for cognitive processes, the remaining 95% are always busy sustaining life, and in particular ensuring stable functioning of the hormone system. I desperately wanted to get less complicated and stop thinking in formal quotes from an encyclopedia, though my thoughts appeared one by one being stupid out of place, as if taken from an internal monologue of the hero of some junky soft-cover crime fiction book. A pretty Slavic face, long braids that looked like 2 armfuls of fresh hay, and blue eyes you could drown in. Hi, you must have just arrived. Shall I reply? Where's my mouse? Do not reply or reply? Oh, reply. Yeah. Alright then, welcome. She smiled broadly. Strange, it looked as if I had just a normal girl right in front of me. Bah, I shouldn't have returned here, the woods and fields seem better. But what shall I do next? Try to speak with her as if she was a human, or run away, or what? The blood was pumping unbearably in my head, tearing it apart from the inside. A little bit more and the poor pioneer girl would be the contents of my skull. What's so funny about that? The girl looked me over. It sent shivers down my spine and my knees started to tremble. Nothing. Great then. Great. What's so great about that? Suddenly a thought crossed my mind. To hell with it. Forget about the bus behind me, the fact that it was winter yesterday and the summer today. I wanted to rip off my itchy sweater and just accept that all this is actually happening. Everything is as it should be. All this for the best. Would you happen to know? You should go to our camp leader. She'll tell you everything. Look. You go straight ahead to the square, then turn left. You'll see several small cabins. She pointed at gates as if I knew what was behind them. Well, you can ask someone where Olga Dmitrievna's cabin is. I'm so sorry to any Russian speakers, but yeah, I'm not good with the whole Russian language, even though like my actual real name is Russian. I got it? Not really. Of course I didn't, yeah. Well, I've got to go now. Oh, well. The girl waved her hand at me and disappeared through the gates. It seemed as if to her I was something ordinary. An orderly show with the bus and the travels while awake or asleep were troubling only to me, while everything here is just the way it is supposed to be. Camp leader, pioneer uniform. What are they doing? What? Are they doing a historical reenactment here? I hope I won't find Lennon standing atop an armoured car in a square. But even that would not surprise me right now. After standing alone for a while, I headed into the camp. A mere 50 metres ahead, a small one-storey house popped up on the left side. The sign near the door said clubs. I was about to come closer when the door suddenly opened and a short girl wearing a pioneer uniform came out. Her pretty face gave me the impression of one suffering for the fate of the whole of mankind with truly universal sorrow. As soon as she saw me, the girl froze as if frightened. I froze too, considering what was the best to do, to approach first or wait until she showed more initiative. Or maybe run away after all. Although this last option was constantly being suggested only by my self-preservation instinct, at least that's what I like to believe. Not the worst human instinct, but far from the most logical. If this instinct played poker against deductive abilities, the outcome would be predetermined. And those deductive abilities, or at least their semblance, were hinting to me that there was no need to be afraid of this girl. Suddenly someone jumped out of the nearby bushes. A girl wearing a bright red t-shirt with USSR written on it. Such a perfect reproduction of the age. She looked quite short from a distance and was probably younger than both pioneer girls, the one at the gates and this girl at the door of the clubs. At last, I decided to come closer, but the USSR, as I called her in my mind, jumped towards the first girl and started telling her something while wildly waving her arms. The other girl in turn seemed confused and lowered her gaze, remaining silent. I would have probably continued to observe their amusing dialogue, but the USSR suddenly pulled something out of her pocket and started waving it in front of the first girl's face. This something turned out to be a grasshopper. Okay. The first girl squealed. She must not be too keen on insects, so she instantly rushed off towards the place where Lennon presumably made his speech about the workers' and peasants' revolution. This is to say towards the square. The USSR glanced at me, grinned playfully and dashed after her. Not a bad start to the day. I have absolutely no clue where I am. Besides that, there are some kids here role-playing as pioneers. And as far as I can tell, this place is located thousands of kilometers away from my home. It might even be a different reality. And this was indeed a reality. I mean, everything about me seemed so real, if a little embellished, that I was starting to think that in fact my previous life could have just been a dream. And what am I supposed to do now? I was picking at the cracked paving stones of my shoe and staring aimlessly at the club's building. Just a few more seconds before I have to come up with some decision. That's when I recalled myself rolling on the grass, weeping. I cringed in disgust. Perhaps it's another instinct. When all energy from whimpering and self-pitying is used up, the body either goes into hibernation or mobilizes its reserves. Mine seemed to have chosen the second option, because out of the blue I found a determination to figure out what was going on. And in order to do that, I had to act like a man, like a human, to maintain the dignity of a representative of my own world. I followed the path to the left, on the right side of which stood small cabins, apparently the homes of the local pioneers. Actually, they looked quite cozy from the outside. Even though I was born in the Soviet Union, I had never been part of its children's organizations, neither the pioneers nor even the young October children. I imagined the daily life of a typical pioneer camp a bit differently. Huge barracks with long rows of metal bunks, wake-up call at 6 o'clock, played by a siren, 1 minute to make your bed, then join in the formation at drill square. Or wait, could I be confusing it with something else? Suddenly something struck me on the back. I staggered, but remained on my feet, turned around and prepared to fight heroically for my life. But all I found was another girl standing before me. My mouth hung open in surprise. "Pick your jaw up off the ground!" I closed my mouth. The same pioneer uniform, but the way she was wearing it looked, let's say, provocative. Like all the girls I had met here before, this one was rather cute, but her overly arrogant expression killed any desire to get to know her better. "New here, are you?" "Fine. See ya." She threw a threatening glance at me and walked past. I waited for the pioneer girl to turn at the corner. Who knows what else she might have been up to. The most interesting thing was that even this hostile girl seemed completely normal to me. She did not give off the feeling of some deadly danger, except maybe the danger of getting punched in the nose. At last, I managed to make it to the square. There was no linen on an armoured car, although one could easily expect something like that after all this had happened. Instead, however, a monument to a certain comrade towered in the middle of the square. The letters on the pedestal read, Genda? Genda? Must be some big figure in the party. There was some small benches at the sides. It's quite pleasant here. Where did that girl tell me to go? To the left or to the right? To the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. And why am I going there anyway? Alright, I've decided to pretend to be normal. So to the right. Through a small grove, I came out at a pier. I must have taken a wrong turn. Hey, wrong way! I turned towards the voice. The first girl stood before me. Now what did I tell you? Take a left at the square, wasn't it? She had changed from a pioneer uniform into a bikini. Oh, I still haven't introduced myself. My name is Salva? Okay, Salva. Actually, my full name's, here we go, Salviana, but everyone calls me Salvia, whatever. You can too. Yeah. I still felt a bit confused, so I could not come up with more meaningful answers. And what's your name? It felt like she could see right through me. Semyon. Semyon. Nice to meet you, Semyon or Semyon. Alright, I'm almost done here. Could you wait here a minute? I'm going to change and we'll go to Olga. Here we go. Dmitrinivia together. Agreed? Agreed. After this exchange, she ran off. I sat on the pier and let my feet hang into the water, not dangle in the water. I was wearing heavy winter boots, but in such weather there was nothing wrong in getting my feet wet. Furthermore, it let me cool myself a little. Looking at a river, I was brainstorming and processing everything that has happened. If this is some kind of conspiracy, it's a weird one, even too friendly at times. No, it really looks more like a random event. Some entirely incomprehensible random event. Shall we go? Salvia was standing beside me, dressed in a pioneer uniform again. Let's go. I've been here for a very short time, but of all the people I've met, she looks the least suspicious. However, this fact is already suspicious itself. Damn. We walked to the square. The USSR girl and the girl hit me on the back while they're chasing each other. Is that some kind of game they're playing? Oh, here we go. Yuliana. Enough running, I'll tell everything to Olga Dmitrievna. Aye, Captain. I decided not to question Savia for a while about what was going on or the local residents. Better meet with this mysterious Olga Dmitrievna first. Sounds like she's the boss here. We walked past the rows of almost identical cabins, some of which looked like fat beer barrels, while others looked more like household sheds. Finally, Sylvia stopped in front of a smallish one-story cabin. It looked like an artist's painting. The faded paint, chipping here and there with age, was sparkling in the sun. The window shutters, slightly ajar, were swaying almost unnoticeably in the wind, and huge lilac bushes were growing at the sides. It seemed as if this ramshackle hut was drowning in a storm of purple silk, and the lilacs, like some elemental force, were inexorably destroying the troop's leader's house. What are you standing around for? Let's go! Selva snapped me out of my daydreaming. And stop teasing Lena already. Oh shit, it's Sonic.exe. Rena? Sounds like there's someone inside. Indeed. A moment later, the door swung open and Yuliana ran out and dashed past with the same mischievous grin. The pigtailed girl came out next. Don't let it bother you, Lena. So her name is Lena, although I remember hearing Arena, but I don't freaking know. Gotta be thankful it's not Rena, at least. Oh, okay, alright, get it. But I don't. Instead of finishing her sentence, she blushed and quickly headed towards the square. For some reason, I felt like turning and following her with my eyes, but Sylvia said, "Come." Sylvia? Where'd I get Sylvia out of this? We entered the cabin. I'm gonna give him English names, screw it. Inside, it looks something similar to what I imagined. 2 beds, a table, couple of chairs, a simple couple on the floor, and a wardrobe. Nothing special, but at the same time it felt home-like and cozy, although this room was almost in the same state of disorder as my own flat. The girl standing near the window appeared to be about 25 years old. Nature had obviously gifted her with a pretty face and a good body. At least one thing can keep you happy in this pandemonium. The locals are beautiful. You're finally here. Excellent. My name is Olga Drummond-Vintia. I'm the camp leader. Nice to meet you. I'm Semyon. I decided to talk as if I wasn't surprised by anything that was going on. Why is my mouse there? She came closer. We've been expecting you since early morning. You've been expecting me? Yes, of course. And when does the next bus come? And why do you need it? Yeah, right. Why would I need it? Because I shouldn't ask direct questions. People here may react to them quite unlike how I'd prefer. And I doubt I'd get any answers. No reason, just curious. By the way, where are we exactly? Our mailing address, I mean? I wanted to send a letter to my parents to tell them I got here fine. For some reason, I had the desperate idea that if I played along, I would find something out. Oh, well, your parents called just half an hour ago. Sent their regards to you. Now that's a surprise. So, can I call them? Because I forgot to tell them something before I left. No. She gave me a sweet, spontaneous smile. Why not? We don't have a phone here. Then how could my parents make a call to you? I've just come back from the district's central town. I talked with them there. Ah, so that's how it is. And can I somehow get to the town? No. She kept the same smile. Why not? Because the next bus only comes in a week. I decided not to inquire how the troop leader managed to get there and back. I would get no answer anyway. All this time, Sylvia, here we go, was standing next to me and seemed to find nothing odd in our conversation. Oh, we need to find a uniform for you. I've got absolutely no desire to put on pioneer shorts or to wear the ridiculous red neckerchief. However, wearing winter clothes in summer isn't a great idea either. Right, thank you. I wonder if I'm the only one here who finds it strange that someone's wearing a coat and winter boots in such heat. Rightio, I'll be off then. And you can get yourself acquainted with the camp. Don't forget to come to dinner in the evening. Having said that, she walked out of the cabin. No, walked is not the right word. She rushed out. I ended up alone with Sylvia. I must go. Got things to do. Take a walk, look around the camp a bit. See you in the evening. If there is no threat or catch to this, then this reality as embodied by Sylvia becomes more and more appealing. For the first time today I realised that it was awfully hot here. Although obviously my winter clothes were to blame for that. I took off my coat and dropped it onto the bed. My pullover followed and I was now wearing only the shirt. That's much better. All I could do now was follow their advice and go look around the camp. I'll try to find something out in the meantime. Passing the local residential district, I saw a pioneer guy coming my way. And it was really a pioneer guy, not a pioneer girl. Apparently there were men even in the kingdom of Amazons. Hello, you're new here? You must be Samoan, right? And how do you... Everyone knows already, I'm... electronic. By the way, the real one, you can call me that. Electronic, the real one? Things were going from crazy to completely insane. Alright. Yulian also calls me cheesy. Cheesy? Oh, toast with mushrooms. Because my last name is Chizikov. I see. Let me show you around. I accepted his offer as it would have taken much longer to get to know this place alone. Fine, let's go. We ended up at the square again. As if this place was all there is to this camp. Lena was sitting on one of the benches reading some book. Electronic confidently approached her. Hello Lena, meet the new guy, Simon. He started briskly. Hello. Well, you could say we've already met in a way. Yes. She looked away from the book for a moment, glanced at me, blushed, and went back to reading, as if not noticing that we were still here. Alright, let's go on. I was at first surprised that meeting this girl was reduced to a couple of words, but then I thought I was better that way. Electronics vigorous activity did not fit well with Lena's shyness. Let's go. Next we came to a building, which I instantly identified as a canteen. And this here, I know, this is where you consume organic food. Yeah, something like that. On the canteen's porch stood the unfriendly girl who hit me on the back earlier. At the sight of her, my joking mood vanished in the blink of an eye. Really, now is not the best time to be pulling this guy's leg, even though he is quite hilarious. First, I need to figure out what's what here, or at least where I am. Her over there. That's Alicia. Oh, here we go. Devishkia, or whatever. Be careful around her. He spoke in a whisper. Oh, wrong button. Don't ever call her Davachek. She doesn't like that. What did you say? What did you call me? She must have heard him. In a blink of an eye, Elisa jumped down from the porch and dashed towards us. Alright, you'll manage from here onwards. Electronic took to his heels. Oh, fun. Screw it, I'm gonna do nothing. Alyssa, running past, stopped for a moment and growled. I'll deal with you later. Deal with me? What did I do wrong? I added a forced, guilty smile to my words. But what am I guilty of? She made no reply and carried on chasing Electronic. What a stupid name. Looks like I'll have to kill time alone, waiting for dinner. I decided to go east. At least in a direction where east would be in my world. Soon after, I found myself near a football pitch. A game was in full swing here. I guess watching it for a bit wouldn't do any harm. In my childhood and teen years, I was not about playing myself and even thought of going professional, but a few injuries in a row killed my desire to risk my health for the sake of uncertain chance in the game. Kids of different ages were running around a pitch. I could see a boy of about 10 and a girl of about 14 years old. A girl? Hey, that's Yulena. Alright, so she plays football, what's so surprising? She seems a restless one after all. I was standing quite far from the pitch, but she still noticed me. Hey you! Yulena shouted. Wanna play? I didn't know how to answer. On one hand, running around for 10 minutes is no big deal. On the other hand, any wrong move in my situation could be my final one. But in any case, my attire wasn't suitable for this weather. If I played in winter boots and warm jeans, I would sweat like a pig. And playing barefoot and without jeans would be simply unethical. Maybe another time, alright? I shouted in response, turned around and walked back. I was followed by Uline's screams about my pants. About me being a pansy or something like that. Well. Evening was falling, making me feel tired and empty after a day wasted with no real purpose. I came back to the squirt, sat down on a bench and gave an exhausted sigh. I better sit here and wait for dinner. After all, it's easier to search for answers when you're not hungry. They do give food to people here, right? You know, it's curious how the simplest human needs can break the will to ponder on things to strive for something. For example, I feel hungry now, so I care much less about where I am or what is happening to me. Could great people also be affected by this? And in that case, how did Spartacus start the slave uprising in ancient times? I can only conclude that I am not a great person, and it does not really matter which mechanism I serve as a gear in society in a matrix or a weird pioneer camp. My thoughts were interrupted by the sounds of bells chiming from a loudspeaker on a light pole. It must be a dinner call. I headed towards the canteen. It's a good thing that that now I knew where I was. Oh, here we go. Olga Dmitrievna was there, standing on a porch. I stopped and looked closely at her as if I was expecting something. She looked back at me for a while, but alas, came closer. Simeon, what are you waiting for? Come in already. Guess nothing bad can happen if I go with her. My stomach backed me up there. Lol. The two of us went inside. The canteen looked like my canteen. I've had a chance to visit a factory canteen at some point in my life. This one was exactly the same, just maybe a bit cleaner and more modern. Metal chairs and tables, glazed tiles on the walls and on the floor. Unsophisticated tableware with the occasional crack. Guess that's what a canteen in a pioneer camp's supposed to look like. Simeon, wait a moment. We'll find you a place to sit. She looked around the place. Oh, here we go. Davai Scotia! Hold it right there. Olga... Okay, you know it's good. I'm just saying Olga. Olga shouted at Alyssa who was passing by. What? What's up with your coves? Anything wrong with them? Indeed, her attire looks somewhat provocative. Get your uniform nice and neat right now. Alright. Alyssa got her shirt right and walked past, shooting an unpleasant glare at me. So, where can we find you a place to sit? There weren't a lot of free seats. Go over there, next to Yelena. Yeah, it's fine. The food's already on the table, too. I had no other choice but to accept. Of course, there was the probability that the cutlets were poisoned with curry, the mashed potatoes generously seasoned with arsenic, and a glass filled with an excellent antifreeze instead of compote. But it looked so tasty I had no chance to resist. Hey, what do you want? I replied rather rudely to Eula, who was sitting next to me. Why didn't you play football with us? Because of my clothes, said I, pointing at the source of the problem. Oh, alright then. Eat. However, there wasn't much left to eat. My cutlet was missing from the plate. I don't think she could have done it. No, more precisely, none but Eula should have done it. Eula, give me back my cutlet. In a big family, you snooze, you lose. It can cost you a cutlet if you are careless. Give it back, I'm telling you. Should I attempt to take the cutlet or do not attempt? Dude, it's just a freaking cutlet. See, I don't have it. And indeed, Eula's plate was empty. It seemed that this little girl eats as fast as she steals someone's cutlets. Take it easy, we'll work something out now. She grabbed my paint and ran off. There's no point in following her. If they wanted to poison me here, they would have done it in a much easier way. About a minute later, Eula returned and handed me the plate with a steaming hot cutlet on it. Don't eat it! Here's one for the starving. Thanks. It was all I could say. I was so hungry that my suspicions were gone in a flash. I picked up the cutlet with my fork and... What the... Some bug? No bug? An insect. It's got legs and it's wiggling. The plate fell to the floor and broke into pieces. The chair hit me hard on my leg while falling. I've disliked insects since I was a child, but when these creepy crawlies appeared in my plate, there's just way too much. You little... Haalyle seemed ready for such a twist and was already at the door laughing as she had just heard a fresh stand-up comedy joke. I dashed after her. We ran out of the canteen. We were just a few dozen meters apart and I felt I would catch this little girl easily. We ran through the square, past the Cobb's house, and ran into the forest path. I started to gasp for breath. I should have quit smoking, I guess. Haalyle passed out of sight on the next turn. It couldn't be true that she managed to get away from me. It simply can't. I stopped and tried to catch my breath again. Here's my mouse. Night was falling. Looks like I'm lost. It's a bad idea to stay in the woods at night. Better get back to camp. However, I had absolutely no clue which way to go. Well, gotta choose at random. I wandered for quite some time in the forest. I even thought of crying for help, but I finally saw the camp's fence beyond the trees. Everything fell back into place. The bus is gone. I mumbled quietly. On one hand, there was nothing strange about that. The bus couldn't just stay there forever. On the other hand, it meant there was someone driving. Because buses do not drive themselves. Or do they? This world seemed too normal, but every event here had at least two explanations for it. An ordinary, real, everyday explanation and a surreal one. Certainly, the driver could have just been off for a snack and I left too soon, that's why. In any case, this is not the place for me. Whether that bus drives itself or not was probably an important question, but it was much more important to know how I had got here at all, and where this here was. The fields and the woods stretching towards the horizon had no answer about them. A strange, odd, and alien world. However, at the same time, it was absolutely not frightening. Either my self-preservation instinct decided to resign from its job, or all this running around a camp in the local pioneers had lulled me so much with their carefree normality that I was simply forgetting what had happened to me just a couple of hours ago. Although I probably just had no strength left to worry. All I wanted was some peace, calmness. I wanted to just have a break from it all, and only after that would I continue looking for answers, ready and reloaded. However, that would be some time later. And what about now? Can I allow myself to relax? It got completely dark, and in any case it was better to spend the night in the camp. I was about to head back when someone came up silently from behind. Hello? What are you doing here so late? It was Sylvia standing before me. I was so surprised that I jumped. So you didn't catch Haalyle, did you? She smiled. I nodded disappointedly and sighed. No wonder. No one ever has. Yeah, she's a real rocket girl. She could have found a better use for her energy than looking for adventures. You must be hungry. You didn't manage to have dinner after all. Indeed, I had completely forgotten about my hunger, but after all these words of hers, my stomach drew attention to itself by giving a traitorous rumble. Sylvie smiled. Let's go then. What, is the canteen still open? Yeah, it's alright, I have the keys. Keys? Yes, I have the keys to all the facilities in this camp. How come? Well, I'm something like the camp's leader's aide here. I see. Well, let's go. It was an offer you can't refuse. When we reached the square, Sylvie stopped in her tracks. Excuse me, I should warn my roommate that I'll be late. She's so punctual herself that she'll be worried otherwise. You go on to the canteen and I'll come in a minute. Alright? Alright. I really did not expect to find somebody aside from myself there at such a late hour, and that someone was apparently trying hopelessly to open the door. Without any secret thoughts, I walked up onto the porch. The lockpicker turned out to be Alyssa. I should have probably kept off and waited. She looked at me intently for a while, then said, "Don't just stand there, give me a hand or something." Meaning, help me open the door. Why? Because I want some buns and kefir. Dinner wasn't big enough. Is that really a good idea? Aren't you hungry yourself, huh? Haalyle didn't let you have a normal dinner, did she? She smiled sarcastically. It's true, she didn't. It's fine, Sylvia come now and... What? Guess I shouldn't have said that. I'm off then. And you'll pay for this. You owe me 2 already. Having said that, Alyssa disappeared into the night. And what was the first one? Sylvie didn't keep me waiting for too long. Is everything alright? Yeah, why are you asking? No reason, it's nothing. It would be better if I didn't tell her about Alyssa. Everything's fine. I said that and immediately heard a note of dishonesty in my voice. Well, shall we go? As for Sylvie, she seemed not to have noticed anything. Or at least, she was pretending she didn't. We entered the canteen. Wait a bit. I'll go get something. I sat down on a chair and obediently waited for my saviour. My dinner was simple. A few buns and a glass of kefir. No wonder. I bet 105 minutes finished everything off. However, even that was far better than most of my usual diet. Sylvie sat across the table and looked at me while I was eating. Is there something on my face? No, just... She smiled. So, how did you like your first day in the camp? Well, I don't really know. It's silly to ask someone who suddenly found himself in a different reality whether he liked the food in the canteen, the camp leader, or he's a silent heart. It's alright, you'll soon get used to it. Sylvie stared out the window dreamily. Frankly speaking, I have no desire to get used to such things, but as for her, she doesn't know. Or at least she wants me to think that she doesn't. Well, all in all, it's nice here. I had to somehow break the awkward silence. Do you think so? She asked without any interest. Yeah, this place is so... I want to say retro, but I managed to hold that back. After all, it was retro for me, but what about them? It might be the only kind of life I knew. If the term life was applicable here. So how? She watched me closely, as if something important depended on my answer. Well, I don't know, lovely. Yeah, it's lovely here. I guess you're right. She smiled again. It's very good that you think so. Why? Well, not everybody likes it here. And what about you? Me? Yes. I love it here. It's great. Then you don't need to worry about what other people think. Well, I don't really worry. Sylvie laughed. This conversation seemed to be leading me far astray from where I wanted to get to. And you're worried yourself? Really? Why do you say so? Well, when someone is chewing so intensely... Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. I couldn't bring myself to be more cautious around this girl. But why her in particular? Why not any other local inhabitants? Every one of them looked completely normal to me. Precisely normal, so normal it sends chills down my spine and into my marrow. Normally, normal, not like a neighbour with a power drill in one hand and a subwoofer in the other. Not like a passenger you often meet in the subway or on public transport. Not like a co-worker at the next table in an open planning office. And not even like a friend who only differs from other humans in his constant insistence. All of them look normal, as I would expect them to be, with their own downsides, but without any superpowers. And Sylvie was also cute. I glanced at her stealthily, not knowing what to say. I'm sorry, I want to show you the camp, but was ran off my feet. I didn't miss anything while on my own, I guess. Are you sure you haven't missed anything at all? She smiled so brightly that I had to drop my eyes in confusion. Well, how would I know? It's my first day here. Okay, and what have you seen so far? I've seen this square, this canteen, the football field. And what about the beach? Just from afar. You should really go there. Or let's do it together. Yeah, okay, we will. Her naturalness started to scare me. But then I thought, what if everything that happens here is how it's supposed to be, and this world looks strange only to me, while for them it is normal. Maybe I was thrown into the past. Yeah, that would explain a lot. Can I ask a stupid question? No. Sylvie smiled and stood up from the table. It's late. Can you find a way to old girl by yourself? Of course I can, but why should I go there? She'll settle you with someone. What for? Probably this question seems stupid because Sylvie burst into good-natured laughter. You need to sleep somewhere, right? That makes sense. Fine, I'll be off then. Good night. Night. It's strange that she left in such a hurry. A bundle of keys left in the door lock caught my attention. I was going to catch up to Sylvie, but where does she live? And knocking on every door during the middle of the night doesn't sound like a bright idea. Take or leave. Take the keys. I better take them. I'll give them back tomorrow because she knows what happens here at night. Such thoughts can be chills. It's me who needs to be careful here in the first place. The night, though dark, wasn't silent at all. One could hear chirping crickets, songs of the night birds, and rustling trees from everywhere. A sudden desire to follow Sylvie's advice and go to the camp's leader's cabin appeared. I don't know why, but the sight of the unknown bronze builder of communism put me in a constructive mood. I sat on a bench and started to recall everything that happened today. That was all my constructive mood could offer. Here it was much brighter than near the canteen, and tardy pioneers were running by, so this place didn't seem scary at all. Bus, summer camp, girls. I was so tired from everything new and strange that I could not come up with a single explanation for what was going on. I heard a barely noticeable rustle nearby. I shivered and looked in that direction. A girl, reading a book. Lena. I decided to move closer and talk. She was the only new person I had met here without exchanging even a few words. Hi, what are you reading? Lena was so surprised that she even jumped. Sorry, didn't mean to scare you. Never mind. She blushed and stared at the book again. So what are you reading? On the cover was written, Gone with the Wind. Praise it. Good book. Thanks. Honestly speaking, I haven't read it, but I think that such literature suits her very well. Lena didn't seem to be interested in continuing the conversation. Well, if I'm bothering you... No. She answered while still looking at the book. Can I sit beside you for a while? Why? And really, why? Maybe just because I was very tired and having company is better than being alone. And maybe I wanted to try and find something out from her. I carefully examined Lena. But no, I doubt that. Well, I don't know. Am I not allowed to? Feel free. But if I'm bothering you... No, you're not. I can leave, just say. Everything's alright. Okay then. I sat on the end of the bench carefully. After such an intense talk, staying here was the last thing I wanted, but it wouldn't be nice to just stand up and leave. That didn't really go well, huh? Lena hadn't answered anything. It seems I made a fool out of myself. I bet Haalyle was here should have a good laugh at me. Do you enjoy being here? I recalled Sylvie's question and thought it would be a good start for a conversation. Yes. She smiled slightly. I guess I like it too. Lena definitely isn't very sociable and probably can't carry on a meaningless conversation as easily as Sylvie. But there was something about her that attracted attention. Like a momentary glimpse of a reflection in the glass on a rainy autumn evening, which makes you turn around and stare into darkness searching for something that you saw out of the corner of your eye. Of course, you weren't able to distinguish or understand what it was, but it felt so tempting. Lena was still reading the book without paying any attention to my presence. And I had no intention of asking her anything about this camp or this world in general. Beautiful night. Yes. How in the world will you start a conversation with her? It's late. I have to go. Yes, it's quite late. Good night. Night. There was something strange about this girl. At first glimpse she is typically shy and modest pioneer girl, but the mystery of Lena took its own place in the massive list of mysteries about this camp which I had started to put together in my head. A lazy evening, there's nothing like a good time with nothing to do. I headed towards Olga's cabin. The light in the house was on. Hello, Simeon. You're quite late. Yeah, I went for a walk to look around the camp. Alright, you'll be sleeping here. She pointed her finger at one of the beds. Right here? I was a bit surprised. Yeah, is something wrong? We are out of free cabins anyway. The camp leader smiled, but I rather think it was just out of politeness. You do want to be a decent pioneer, don't you? There was clear emphasis in the word decent. Yep, sure. I was lost in thought for a moment. Don't you mind it, mademoiselle? She looked at me oddly, with surprise and some offense in her eyes. A pioneer should respect their elders, Olga said strictly. Of course he should, no one argues with that. Apple answered, not realizing what was wrong. Shouldn't you also? She stared at me. Under such a gaze, even mithril forged by the best dwarf masters from the deepest dungeons would melt. Shy what? What's up, Toots? Annoyance and a lack of understanding made me raise my voice. You must address adults appropriately. Yes, of course. There are a lot of strange things here, but this girl is just a couple of years older than me, or maybe even younger. But I decided not to argue. While just a few minutes ago I would never have called an adult, I have to admit that she was also given a strong character, and in any case I wasn't in a position to argue. As you say, ma'am, I'm on board. That's much better. That is how a decent pioneer should conduct himself. And now it's time to sleep. Honestly speaking, I was going to become neither a decent nor an indecent pioneer. Just yesterday I wasn't going to become a pioneer at all. But do I have a choice now? If you don't want to, we'll have to make you. This is a motto Olga was probably going to use. I climbed onto the bed and closed my eyes only to realize how tired I was after today. Something happened in my head awfully, as if my brain had started a night shift. And I seemed to be aimed more at rolling steel than working on something more sensitive. The bus flew through my mind. In a square with a monument. The canteen full of pioneers, and the malicious face of Haalyle. Sylvie, Lena, and even recalling Alyssa didn't give me too much of a negative feeling. What if I'm here for good? Alright, so on to day 2, I'm going to stop my part here because, well, my voice is running out and I have, like, other things to do now. Which one's the options? Save game. Alright, so ours is number 2. In first slot. Thanks for watching. This is going to be one of those things that I might not go back to, but I don't mind it, and I'll see you guys later.